Konnichiwa, this is Israel Lopez Sensei. If you like listening to the Martial Maze, you might seriously want to think about becoming a supporter of this podcast. To do so, simply click on the support button. With a small monthly donation of $1, you will help support future episodes. Thank you once again for your support, and thank you for listening. Konnichiwa. Welcome to the Martial Maze. I'm with my partner in crime, Barakulat Shidoshi.
And I'm here with Israel Lopez Sensei.
And we're coming to you from Tampa, Florida Judo. Our guest today began his martial training at age 7 in Miami, Florida, under the tutelage of Jack Williams. He graduated from Howard University with a bachelor's degree in mechanical engineering, and then later a master's of arts and teaching degree. In 2009, he received his PhD in education. He is a proud member of the Omega Psi Phi fraternity. He was an Olympian, a 4-time national judo champion, an undefeated MMA fighter, Strikeforce veteran, a Brazilian jiu-jitsu black belt, and was voted one of the top 100 coaches in MMA by UFC magazine. Author of the book, The Gold Medal Strategies of Emotional Regulation and Behavior Excellence. We are speaking with none other than Dr. Rhadi Ferguson. Konnichiwa. Welcome to the Martial Maze, sir.
Man, I appreciate it. Good morning and welcome to Tampa, Florida Judo. Hope you guys enjoying your stay here. Man, you guys were on the road traveling about 20 hours from Massachusetts to get here.
Let me tell you, we done went through the storm. We done went through the storm to get here.
Yeah, but at least we're not dealing with what they were dealing with in Texas, though.
Oh man,
listen. Prayers up for those people, man. That's been a tough time.
Yeah,
not getting into the politics of all of that, but that was something that they that back when that whole thing happened back in the day, that they were warned that this could happen again.
Correct.
And,
it's like the levee situation in Louisiana. It's like the coastal situation in California.
Mm-hmm.
I think every place has those type of issues that they have to make an economic decision,
right,
if they want to invest that money in the infrastructure or not, depending on the risk assessment.
Yeah, I mean, it's real simple. It seems real simple, but it's like same thing with California. Like don't build houses where there are fires frequently happening every year. Why are you building that?
Yeah, listen, the population is growing.
Yeah,
and we have things that happen within our populations to stop the population from growing too.
Mm-hmm.
And those individuals who can run away from the problems, they get on a plane and they go to Cancun, and those who can't, then they stay where they are. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So let's dive in. Let's dive.
That's funny right there.
And on that,
don't edit that out.
no, that's staying in. That's
oh man, brother.
So you once again, thank you for being on the show. You begin your martial journey in Miami, Florida, if I'm not mistaken.
In Miami, Florida, I was in an after-school program. I went to Oak Grove Elementary. My dad put me in an after-school program, and man, I really loved it. And in order to get some more practice, I started going to a program that was at Miami-Dade Community College, that was run by Jack Williams. That was my really, really first instructor. The after school program, the guy his name was Sensei Rick. All respect, and I always tell people, especially I hear higher up judo coaches like, oh, that coach doesn't know nothing. He don't know nothing. Never disrespect the person who was the entry point to somebody's martial arts journey.
Yeah, thank you.
I don't care if it's an after-school program. I don't care if they're just teaching kids how to roll and fall and cartwheel. I don't care if they're not teaching them the real deal. If they stay in long enough, we'll all meet at the top. So I don't know you, Brother Barack. Brother Israel, I don't know you either. You started your martial arts journey in different places than I started mine, but we all end up in the same place today because of where we started. Yeah, we've been with professors who knew a lot. We've been professors who didn't know anything. We've learned some stuff that we discard now. We learned some stuff that we found out was a real deal that we discarded then.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Sensei Rick got me into judo. I don't even remember his last name, but I thank God for him and putting him in that position, because I wouldn't be where I am today if I didn't start with him. I was able to then upgrade my training with Jack Williams. I called Jack Williams my first instructor, because that is where the base level of learning happened, where the base level of teaching happened, where I really learned judo. At the other place, it was more of an after-school program. I entered into the art and was introduced to judo. Jack Williams taught me judo. I learned from the age of 6 to 12, and then we moved out of Miami, Florida. I didn't return to judo until I graduated from college.
Oh wow, that's one heck of a. But you did football, right? If I'm not mistaken. I got that off your bio.
No, I played.
I wasn't stalking you.
No, I played football. I started playing football in 8th grade. My dad didn't let me play Papa Warner football. He thought it was too much trauma too early, so I didn't play the Papa Warner football. He didn't let me play football until I got to 8th grade.
Okay.
Yep.
What position, if you don't mind me asking?
I played running back.
Okay, all right.
I played running back. And then I ended up going to college. I wrestled in 9th grade only, and that was junior high school, because we had different grades back then. We had 1 through 6, 7 through 9th, and 10 through 12.
Now, was that folk style?
I wrestled folk style in 9th grade in junior high school, and that was the only time. Then I wrestled in college. I never wrestled in high school.
Oh, okay.
Oh, wow, that's the best time.
Let me ask you a question. During that gap period, was there how come you didn't receive any other martial training
We moved to Altoona, Pennsylvania. There was absolutely no judo club around there. There was nothing.
Nothing. It was a desert.
It was a desert, and I was not introduced to the striking arts until I did MMA later in life.
Okay.
Well, let me tell the truth for the listeners. I was not introduced to the striking part of the art that I was introduced to.
See, now you're saying it correctly.
Correct.
There
That's the correct right. Because
much better.
Right. Because judo also has a temiwaza that I never learned. I never learned the temiwaza, and it wasn't until I started doing a deep dive on grip fighting that I understood how the temiwaza was important in order to get my hands in place and for the blocking, and how the Wing Chun does have application in the fighting style of judo, because people look at it and they think it's just garbage work. Yeah, but there are NFL linemen who use Wing Chun in the NFL.
Yes,
when you really break down grip fighting as two good grip fighters, you can see the Wing Chun happening in the catching of the sleeve and the wrist and the blocking. But I was not introduced to that early. I was only introduced to the grappling early, and they didn't have those grappling styles in Pennsylvania. So what I did is I ended up wrestling.
Okay.
So I wrestled in 9th grade.
So that's how you substituted.
Right. So in 9th grade, I wrestled and I started. When I got to college, I never wrestled in high school. And I say this again for the people who are listening. When we went to school, it was different. It was 1st through 6th grade. And then that was elementary school for us, and then it was 7th through 9th was junior high school, and then you had high school.
Right.
So people exactly. So people here at 9th grade, they think that's high school. No, that wasn't high school for us. That was still junior high school.
Right.
Which I think was good, because it allows you to be the big dog in some form of fashion.
And the age difference too.
Yeah, but ninth graders being in the school with 12th graders, I don't like it.
Well, you're the freshman.
Yeah, I don't like it, especially when we're talking about
fresh meat.
especially when you're talking about the young women being there with 12th graders. That's a huge age gap.
Yeah.
But I started then. When I got to college, I graduated from high school in Maryland. We moved to Maryland. I went to Richard Montgomery High School. I graduated high school at 17. At 17 years old, I went to school at Howard University.
HBC.
I started as a freshman. The next season rolled around. I jumped onto the wrestling team, walked straight off the football field into the wrestling room, beat the #1 heavyweight, and started in wrestling. And I was running track at the time at Howard. I wasn't in the starting lineup in track. I mean, when I was running college track, I was running college track to help with my speed.
Right.
People ask me, what did you run in college? I said, slow. Because when you really get out there and deal with those guys who really run track, you see that your 4.5 40 is not really that fast.
I do 3-minute miles.
Yes. But I was one of the few three-sport athletes ever in the history of Howard University.
Okay.
I got inducted into the Hall of Fame in 2014 at Howard.
Beautiful.
Which was absolutely fantastic. Great experience. I'm a 2-time Hall of Fame inductee. I got inducted for being a 3-sport athlete, and I also got inducted with the 1993 football team that won a Black College National Championship.
Well, there we go.
The wrestling team I was on, we also won a conference championship in wrestling on the Mid-Eastern Athletic Conference. So it was some good times in college, and I was able to kind of keep up my strength and conditioning and athleticism, which allowed me, once I graduated from college, to go back into judo. I thought I was going to the NFL. The Detroit Lions flew me up for a small workout. They said, man, we'll pick you up after the draft as a free agent. Never happened. My agent was like, hey, man, we got an opportunity for you to play in Canada. I was like, Canada. Canada was paying $27,500 Canadian dollars, $27,500 Canadian dollars. I was a mechanical engineering student, and my offer that I got was from Texas Instruments for $40,800. That's a no-brainer, buddy.
Yeah, it is.
So I took the offer with Texas Instruments, and that is how I ended up in Attleboro, Massachusetts.
Good old Attleboro.
And that is where a lot of my story, as you begins, because
Well, yeah. Go ahead.
yeah,
sir.
because
I
then find out. Well, I watched the Olympics in 1996, a little piece of it, and I saw Jimmy Pedro, and I saw him win the bronze medal. I told my mom, I said, I'm going to the Olympics in judo. And she said, yeah, right. And that's all I needed. So after college, I take the job to Attleboro. I don't know I'm going to Attleboro. I'm looking up judo places. I find a place in Foxborough, Massachusetts, with Sensei Charles Bridgham.
Yeah, Charlie Brigham's place. Yes.
Charlie
Yeah,
Bridgham. Right.
That's not Mayo Quanchi. It's
Nope.
Oh man, no, I'm brain farting. But go ahead.
It was.
It's like an old firehouse. Yeah.
Yes, like an old barn or something like that.
Yeah,
like
yeah,
a firehouse barn type of look
Yeah.
place. I think it was Foxborough.
Yeah,
Foxborough,
it's
Foxborough Judo Club.
Yeah, yes, it is.
Foxborough Judo Club.
They end up moving. They end up I guess the place ended up getting condemned and stuff. So.
It did. They moved.
Yeah. So it's moved now. It's it's part of it's kind of like your setup that you have here now.
Okay, it was him and I think another guy by Sensei Bob.
Yeah, Bob Anton.
I think Bob passed away though.
No, Bob's alive.
Bob's alive?
Yes.
Okay, all right. I know somebody passed away from that dojo. Yeah, I know because I remember one of the kids, Charles, told me that somebody, I think his dad, had passed away. When's the last time you checked on Bob?
Oh, a couple months ago.
Okay, he's okay.
Yeah, I got one of those stream
Good,
emails
fantastic.
from him.
Good.
Yeah, no, he's
I'm sorry, Bob.
Yeah. There's a handful. Well, there's a handful of us up north that keep the grassroots going.
Okay, right.
And stuff like that.
Right.
So he's one of those.
Okay, so good. So I started with Foxborough, Massachusetts Judo Club, and then I started taking this trip to go to Somerville, Massachusetts, where Jimmy Pedro would practice on I think Tuesday and Thursday nights. Man, I went up there, man. I started practicing with Jimmy Pedro. It was, I told you guys before we got on this podcast, from Attleboro to Somerville after work at 5 o'clock would take me about 90 minutes. And then on the way back, I would get caught in something called the Big Dig. So it was a construction project. On the way back, I would have to pull my car over on the side of the road because the traffic was gridlocked because they would work at night. So I wouldn't get back home till sometime 2 or 3 in the morning. And then I get up in the morning to lift weights and to work out. When I hear people, this is just an aside, when I hear people tell me, oh man, it's just too far for me to come to your judo club to practice, I cannot relate. I can't fathom how good quality training is too far. Because of how long, like I spent more time on the road than I spent in the dojo. And I would do that to get maybe 2 rounds. Minimum I'd get was 2 rounds with Jimmy Pedro. 1 Newaza and 1 Tachiwaza. If I was lucky, I would get 1 Newaza, 2 Tachiwaza rounds. And that was it. And I would also practice with, I can't remember the heavyweight at this time. I don't know why I can't remember his name. He played football with the Detroit Lions. His name's on the tip of my tongue. He was a world team member, heavyweight. I don't know why I can't remember his name. It's just it's fleeting right now. And I know him very well, but just my mind's on 50 million different things. Well, I practiced with him, so I had an opportunity to practice with some high level guys, and man, it was an education in what I didn't know. You know, I went to the dojo and I got flopped around. I mean, Jimmy Page was 160 pounds. Oh, I was a college fullback, running back. I mean, I was cut up like a black piece of charcoal. You understand what I'm saying, man? 230 pounds, you know.
Yeah, pure.
Yeah, pure. Right. I mean, I was squatting about 550 coming out of college, almost 600 pounds, and I couldn't even move, Jimmy.
I feel compelled to say this, though. I mean, the fact that you were being looked at to play professional football means that you were already an elite athlete. You are aware of that.
Yeah, of course.
Because like if you look at the average versus somebody who makes it to the NFL, I mean, we're telling you were like, and I'm not blowing smoke up your butt. I'm just saying you were in that subhuman kind of level.
And here's the thing. I have to tell people all the time. When I was training for the Olympics, like training. I would be in the gym with the guys that train in the NFL. Mm-hmm. They're not in the same class, man. They're not in the same league, man. I had to run circles around those guys, man. And it's hard for people who are NFL fans and think about football the way that they do to understand that the Super Bowl is just a souped-up national championship.
Yeah, it really is.
I'm talking about I can grab the top three out of freestyle, Greco, and judo at heavyweight and train them for 6 months and put them on the defensive line and they'll start in the NFL. That's a fact. Mm-hmm. If I took the Cuban Lopez, the wrestler, I can put him in front of any offensive lineman and he will murder them all. It's not a question if he'd murder them or not. Mm-hmm. I could have took Alexander Karelin in his prime and put him on the defensive line, and he would have ran through all of those guys. Mm-hmm. And there would have been nothing that they could have done about it. Why? Because we're talking about athletes on an international scale. We're talking about I'm preparing to fight people in Mongolia, in Russia, in Ukraine, the people from the stands, Uzbekistan, Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan. Yeah. Right, exactly. Mm-hmm. And then you're talking about people from Egypt and people from South Africa and people from Italy and people from Belarus. It's very different. And I didn't understand the difference in being an elite athlete and being a world-class elite athlete until I got in front of Jimmy Pedro. I said, man, I cannot move this guy. This guy's 160 pounds. Mm-hmm. Now, later on in my career, after I trained with Jimmy and Jimmy invited me to his home and I introduced him to a strength and conditioning coach, I had to learn how to train like a world-class athlete. Once I got that down under my belt, and Jimmy and I didn't train together when I started training with the guys that were like 90 kilos, 100 kilos, that was my weight class, because I was where I needed to be, but he actually helped me jump that I would call a cognitive chasm. Mm-hmm. There's just a level of thinking that you cannot access, and if you cannot access that level of thinking, then what happens is you're a slave to what's called the Dunning-Kruger effect, which means you don't know that you don't know, and you'll sit there and argue with somebody like you know, and you don't know. You can watch the NFL all day long. I mean, you can watch, and I respect those levels. They're really, really good athletes. They're really, really good athletes. Mm-hmm. They're really, really good at what they do. Mm-hmm. But what they do is only done in the United States. Mm-hmm. It's only done in the U.S.
Yep.
Are they really, really fast? No, they're not really, really fast, because the really, really fast people are running track internationally.
Yes.
Are they really, really strong? No, they're not really, really strong, because the really, really strong people are doing powerlifting or they're doing Olympic weightlifting. Right. Are they really, really tough? Yeah, they're tough. Mm-hmm. Are they good at their sport? Yes, man, they're good at their sport. But their sport is not done by 50 countries.
Okay, yeah. So it's like football, like soccer.
Like oh my God, soccer.
Yeah.
So it's a different playing field. Let me backpedal a little bit. I like what you just said there. It's like to know enough to know when you're wrong. right?
Correct.
But not to know enough to know when to know enough to know when you're right. It's one of those kind of like little conundrum puzzles to play with. And so to go back to what you were saying before, as far as an elite class athlete, now we're talking about. Are you talking about the reason why you can take these particular individuals and put them on the front line? Is it because of the physics and the mechanics of the techniques that allowed them to mow through people?
It's because they are a better specimen. Here's the thing I try to tell people about MMA. So MMA is great. The difference is there's no depth in MMA. I said the top 20 guys in judo, or the top 20 guys in Greco-Roman wrestling, the top 20 guys in freestyle wrestling, they can all beat each other any given day of the week. In MMA, after the top 4 or 5 guys in the world, there's a huge drop-off. There's not enough depth.
Yes.
Why? Because there's no colander or sieve for anybody to go through in order to get to the top. How do you become a world champion in the UFC?
I think some of the appeal with the UFC was based upon, outside of the first sets of UFC, because obviously you never have a tournament that your guy ain't gonna win. Referring to Gracie,
exactly,
and stuff like that. But moving to where it is now, Dana White typically has a knack of what happens if Muhammad Ali had fought Frazier way back in the day. You know what I'm saying, and stuff like that. So instead of having guys like in professional boxing and stuff like that move up the tiers the proper way,
correct.
Well, look,
they just select.
Yeah, I got this number. This guy's number 10. Let me throw some hams at him real quick. Get him up here, build up some hype, so he can fight because I think he would be a better match for the number 1 guy and stuff like that. So I think that's kind of what happens with UFC. I could be wrong.
There's some of that too. They do allow input via Twitter and social media to make the fights, but here's my point. My point is, I get a great athlete in football because I do what? You either play Pop Warner, you play high school football, you go from high school football, and then the best of the best are selected to play what? College. Out of college football, and then we select the best of the best. We put them through a battery of tests, and then we select those people, and they go to the NFL. And then through the NFL, there's a battery of tests. Then we find out who's going to stay and who's not going to make it. And then we end up, there's a colander. It's a sifting process. You want to do judo internationally, right? You start doing judo when you're young, all right? Then you keep training. You win some national championships. You start winning, and then you earn some points. And then you fight in a trial to make the team. And then when you make the team, then you start competing internationally. You can't just go sign up and go to Paris. No, you have to move up the ranking system in order to go to Paris to sign up for a World Cup competition. In MMA, you could just move to the top. How? You fight in some local circuit event, and then somebody picks you. You can hype yourself up on the internet. You're in.
True indeed.
It's very different. I tell people, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I said the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu world champion is not comparable to any other grappling world champion. The Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu world champion is not comparable to a freestyle world champion, to a judo world champion, to a Greco-Roman. He's not. They're not the same species. The VO2 max is not the same. The strength numbers aren't the same. The squats aren't the same. The explosive, they're not the same. I tell people, how do you go to the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu world championships? You sign up. You can't sign up and go to the folk style. The freestyle world championship.
Yeah, about to say,
That's a fact.
But people get on social media and they think that these people. I'm not taking away from those individuals. I'm not. People say, "Oh, if Teddy Riner fought in jiu-jitsu, listen. If Teddy Riner, the multiple-time world champion in judo, if he trained for 6 months solely just to know the rules, he would walk out there, he'd grab the guy, he put him down, or the guy pull guard. Teddy would hold him there. The guy wouldn't move because Teddy wouldn't let him move. Okay, and then Teddy would either pass or stay where he is, and then the match would be over. Because that is the amount. I don't think people understand the amount or the level of strength that and tactics and strategy that they have. And most judo players, they don't care about it. They don't care. They just BJJ has something to do on it's after we retire, then we'll do MMA, or we'll do BJJ just to get some more mat time. Right? But it's not.
Well, you know,
it's hard to tell people.
Because the way that you're saying it, it seems like people are like, "Yo, is he hating?"
No. I completely agree with this.
Let me say this to the people who are listening right now. I am a 4th degree black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu under Professor Ricardo Laborio. My Jiu-Jitsu lineage goes from Jigoro Kano to Mitsuyo Maeda to Carlos Gracie to Carlson Gracie to Ricardo Laborio, and then myself, Rhadi Ferguson. I started doing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu in 1998.
Yeah, I was going to say you were getting it before it became mainstream.
You got it.
I got it early.
I got it early.
I got in early.
So let me ask you, now being that you've seen the evolution of BJJ from back in the 90s till now, what do you think? What are the pros and cons? Dive into that a little bit.
I did an interview with Robert Drysdale, multiple-time world champion, and he just wrote a book called The Open Guard. And he said something really, really profound about jiu-jitsu. He said the difference between judo and jiu-jitsu is jiu-jitsu does not have a do. That's why it constantly changes. Jiu-jitsu does not have a do, and do is the way. The thing about judo, or as they were pronouncing in Brazil, or judo, is judo has a way. It has a philosophical approach to it. Jiu-jitsu just means the gentle art, but there's no do. So what happens is every time a sporting change happens, it changes the art. So the art changes as the sport changes, so that you have people calling the sport the art, where I'm taking off my gi and now I'm telling you I'm doing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. No, you're doing submission wrestling. You're doing catch wrestling. You're applying the principles of Jiu-Jitsu without the gi, but you're not doing. Once you take the jacket off, you're no longer doing Jiu-Jitsu. You're doing another sport, and that's okay. You're doing another art. That's okay. But when you don't have a do, you call it whatever you want to. The reason why you see Rickson Gracie fighting so hard with some of the other Gracies to keep the self-defense aspect in is because they don't really have a kata. So that is their kata. I thought kata was bullsmith when I was coming up. Not understanding that. No, I did. Not understanding that as a sport person, and I had DRC Raming. He's a Shihan in Miyamuru Jiu-Jitsu.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Actually, we did a show with Louis Sato.
Okay, DRC Raming. He's the president of the Bahamas Judo Federation. I used to work for him when I was the head coach for the Bahamas Judo Federation. He told me, he says, you're misunderstanding kata. He said, every drill that you are doing in here is a kata. He said, it's not a traditional kata. He said, the drills you teach when you pass the guard and the person recovers, you pass, the person recovers, he said, that's kata. He said, it's not a traditional kata. And I didn't really understand what he was saying, and then I got it. Now, the traditional kata are in place, not because we're trying to show you that these moves work. It's in place so that the root does not sublitate. The root does not move. The art of judo stays the same no matter what the sport does. No matter what the sport does, the Gokyo no Hwaza stays the same. No matter what the sport does, the Kimi no Hwaza stays the same. No matter what the sport does, the Goshin Jitsu stays the same. No matter what the sport. So judo don't change. We have kata competitions so that we keep the do.
Yes.
Now, people like hardcore sport people, they don't care about kata. It's okay if you don't care about kata. The kata is still there, and the kata is not going anywhere when you do. Because the sport changes and the rules change all the time.
Yep.
But the kata is not changing, my friend. Now, let's look at Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. It has no root. It just keeps spilling out fruit. And every fruit provides new what? Seeds.
Yeah.
So that what happens is every fruit that produces a new seed produces a new tree. And there's no set root.
So there's no regulation.
Watch now. Yeah, I got to watch it. So here's what. So you end up with 10th Planet Jiu-Jitsu.
Yeah.
Then you end up with Gracie Jiu-Jitsu. Then you end up with Jiu-Jitsu de Brazil. Then you end up with American Jiu-Jitsu. And then because all these listen, the harvest is plenty. But the laborers for the art are few. Now. I'm not saying that people don't work. The laborers for the art, not the sport. The laborers for the harvest. The word says the harvest is plenty, but the laborers are few. Nobody is working to preserve the art. Everybody is only concerned about what works now, what works in the street, what can I do, and this is fine. Daily here, an upside down card.
So we talk about this all the time when we talk about regular karate do. And bringing it to just that, that's why there's so many different versions of karate. And you think to yourself, well, wait a minute. Why? Why are there so many different? This was an art. Why? Well, this is my interpretation of, or this is and then you end up with different sects. And just we talk about that all the time.
But,
go ahead.
But, here's the difference. Karate. Empty hand. Do. Karate is the way of the empty hand. The philosophical approach of karate is set. No matter how you want to add your salt and pepper to it, or your sal y pimiento, or if you want to put your adobo on there, or if you want to put your Mrs. Dash on there, karate do is still karate do. Jiu-jitsu is just called arte suave, or the smooth art, but there's no do. There's no do. Judo has a do. It has a do to it. This is the rough part. Like people say, I practice Japanese jiu-jitsu. Yes, you do. You really practice Japanese judo with the atemiwaza and without the randori. The randori was put into place so that you can practice it. Because if we did not have randori,
pure chaos.
Right. So people say, well, that don't work in the street. And so on. I say, hey, listen, none of what you do works. What are you talking about? MMA is not self-defense. MMA is a sport. It's a sport. Otherwise, it'd be eye gouges.
Well,
and groin strikes.
Yep. And there's no weight class.
Or you can pick something up and hit them with it.
Right.
There'd be weapons.
They tell people Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is a better art than judo. Hey. You are worried about somebody picking you up and slamming you. If you are going to jump on the ground, you need to assume the risk of jumping on the ground. Well, it's not safe for them to slam me. Right. So what you need to do is you need to unlock your legs. And you need to learn how to take somebody down. Don't tell me that the art is superior. Every art is good for what is good for. Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu has some great stuff in it.
Yes, it
Absolutely
does.
fantastic.
Yes, it does. Yeah.
I do not teach guard pulling. I do not teach my students how to pull guard. I will not teach guard pulling. Because at the end of the day, when we go all the way back to Sun Tzu's Art of War, which is the original,
it's my school Bible.
Well, let's say it's the original that we go to for traditional martial arts, because we can go all the way back to the African part. Okay, all right.
Yes, we can.
We can go all the way to Nubian wrestling.
Yes.
All the way early. So I want to tell
everywhere
all
else.
the way to Kemet.
Yep.
All right, all the way to the school of Kemet.
Yep.
Okay, and we can start breaking down the true gymnastics training. Okay, not the gymnastics on the bars, but the true gymnastics training that was done early, and the true Nubian wrestling that was done early. And I don't want to get too deep for the listeners, because I think that they also need to do their own study, so they can study so they can show themselves approved.
Oh no,
Right.
Don't limit it. This is a martial
No,
arts, baby.
No.
Go in deep.
It's a forgotten heritage.
It's a forgotten heritage that people don't really understand. But I want to go back. I want to hit the Sun Tzu's Art of War.
Okay.
Because you have to go back to Sun Tzu's Art of War so you can understand combat. Okay, because every military scientist or every military science class is going to go over Sun Tzu's Art of War. At the end of the day, the high ground is still the best ground. So do not teach an art where you're teaching that the low ground is the best place to be.
No, it really isn't.
No, listen. I'm trying
to have the God's eye view.
Listen. Watch yourself now. That's why the eye is at the top of the pyramid and not at the bottom.
You see what I'm saying?
That's why, and it's the all-seeing eye, because you can see it more from the top.
Yep.
That's why Khalil Gibran says the mountain to the climber is clearer from the plain, because you have to back up from the seeing thing so you can sit and look at it. When you are fighting from the bottom, you are fighting from an inferior position.
Yes.
And you need to teach your students that even though there are great things to learn from the guard, it is an inferior position. Mm-hmm. What you want to be is top. Mm-hmm. When I am teaching, I teach a massive amount of sweeps from the bottom. Why? Because I'm not concerned with you submitting as much as I'm concerned with you getting on what? Top.
Yes.
Get on top and then work your submissions.
Mm-hmm.
Now, do I want people to submit? Yeah, I don't mind the people submitting. But I'm teaching sweeps because top is where you need to be. You need to get on top. As they move through their martial arts journey, they're going to learn a lot of submissions. They're going to learn. But in the beginning, they need to learn the art of war. Mm-hmm. The art of war is what? Man, Sun Tzu talks about preparation.
Oh, yeah.
The person who does the more preparation is going to be the person who's better off.
Yeah.
So it doesn't say the person who's fighting, it's the person who's preparing. So people come in, when are we going to go live? When are we going to do randori? We're not. We're going to do the repetitions because the person who is prepared has the best opportunity. What else? Listen, the room matters. The people who you prepare with matters. All right? Mm-hmm. That's so you can know if you're going to win or if you're going to lose. The professor matters. The general matters, mm-hmm. right? The lay of the land matters.
It all matters.
The weather matters.
Yes.
Right. Do you always make the climate comfortable for your students? I don't let people come in here and complain about the temperature of the dojo. No matter what the temperature is outside, that's what the temperature is inside. Mm-hmm. Period. Yep. Because that is what you have to deal with. This is a martial art. When you play football, you can't change the weather of the game, can you?
Nope.
The weather of the game is the weather of the game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And all martial arts fall under that premise. Baseball ain't no martial art. It's raining, what do they do?
They stop
rain delay. Softball, what is that? Rain delay. Huh? Tennis, rain delay.
Yep,
right?
True indeed.
All of this is rain delay, right? Mm-hmm. If it's running in track, they still run.
Oh, yeah. No,
they still run.
Yeah.
Right, because there's still a martial part of the running process. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's how you run towards and run away. Mm-hmm. Right?
Yep.
Okay. Running is not a martial art, but there's still portions of locomotion that are important in the martial arts process.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
You know, the closer your sport is to a combat sport, you'll know by the more that the weather and the climate doesn't change the ability to do it.
Yeah, you still practice,
right.
Yeah.
You adapt to the situation.
Mm-hmm. If you're training for a marathon or a half marathon and it's raining outside on a Wednesday, you get out and you put your things on and you go run.
Mm-hmm. That's it.
That is it. That's what people tell me. We didn't come to practice because it was raining hard. Ma'am, you're in a car. What are you talking about? I said, what are you talking about? You didn't come to practice. You're in a car. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I listen. If we have to run outside as a buy-in and it's raining outside, you run and you get mad. I had a mom one time say, well, I don't want my kids to run outside because they're going to catch a cold. I said, ma'am, if the water made your kids catch a cold, they get one every time they took a shower.
Oh, yeah.
She said, well, I don't agree. I said, that's okay. You can go home.
That's all right.
Yeah,
me with that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you go home. You go home and come back tomorrow when it's not raining. It's okay.
Yep.
It's okay.
Yep.
The rain is not going to make you sick.
Mm-hmm.
It's not going to make you sick. But this is what people don't understand. I can't understand how many, I can't fathom how many people involve themselves in martial arts and they don't read Sun Tzu's Art of War or the Book of Five Rings.
Yep.
Oh, that's required reading.
Always recommended read.
Yes.
And
actually, yeah, I got you. Yeah.
Right. And modern day, I even push Robert Greene. 48 Laws of Power.
Yep.
33 Strategies of War. And
that's a good book.
If you're on the mat, applying some of the principles of, because all he did is expand the Book of Five Rings and the Art of War in a more palatable way for modern day people, modern day society.
Yep.
The Art of Seduction, his book, The Art of Seduction, will teach you how to trap people on the mat.
It works.
It works because in the Sun Tzu's Art of War, he says, man, you need to show weakness where you're strong and strength where you're weak.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yep.
And then if we go to the Bible, it says, I delight myself in my persecutions because when I am weak, then I am strong.
Yep.
Which leads you into the understanding of the process of faith, because faith is the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen.
That's correct.
Which means faith actually comes from nothing and provides you with a something. From your perceptive quality of understanding that the nothingness provides everything, which is this is the principle of shoshin, of becoming an empty cup. So Bruce Lee said the value of a cup is in its emptiness.
There you go.
It's in its nothingness.
Yes.
That's
When you have nothing, then you have everything.
Yeah.
Which is why Jesus told the people, drop everything and follow me. Because when you have nothing, then you have...
Simple.
It's simple. If you study to show yourself approved.
There you go.
Once you get past the jacket and the gi and the belt, and understand that that's the first layer of understanding. That's the rudimentary level of understanding. You walk into the dojo, you see the kid or the new adult, they put their gi on and their belt, and then they learn how to fold the gi. They learn how to tie the gi. They learn that the gi is in and of itself a weapon, but not a weapon to use to choke or to throw. The gi is in and of itself a weapon because it opens up the mind with armature.
Yep.
Yeah, it does.
The mind is opened.
Yep.
The cup is now open.
Yep.
You are now it's shoshin. It's
Beautifully
empty.
said. Beautifully said.
It's empty. And the more empty you go into it, the more you get from it. And it's very difficult to meet people who are in the martial arts journey, who reach that purple belt level in jiu-jitsu, who reach that brown belt level in judo, who reach the brown belt level in jiu-jitsu, and they think they know.
It's all surface. They have no spiritual refinement.
Wait a minute, gentlemen. Wait a minute. Hold up. I just feel like they're just all hungry. Because I know when I was at my brown, that's all I was. I was just hungry.
Right.
I just wanted to be fed.
But what's important is
No. Let me jump on. Let me jump on,
go,
Brother
go.
Brock. You were right. What did you want to eat? Was it nourishment for your spiritual side or for your physical side?
I think I was still trapped in the physical plane.
You were.
At that
there
point.
you go.
Yeah.
You were. And here's Israel Hernandez. All right. Two-time bronze medalist from Cuba. Told me this. I've been a strength and conditioning coach since 2001, man. Strength and conditioning coach through National Strength and Conditioning Association. Towson State, I was assistant strength coach, did my volunteer work at University of Maryland. I did some work with J.C. Santana, trained combat sport athletes for a long time. I got my mind set on what I think works, what I know. Man, you need to sprint, long distance running, it'll make you slow, don't focus your time on that. Blah, 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 blah. Israel Hernandez says, Rhadi, my man, you need to do the long distance running. Israel, I don't know. He says, you need to do the long distance running. He says 6 miles, 8 miles. I said, I respect Israel. I said, why? He says, because it's not for the physical. He said, there's going to be a time when you start running. When you feel like you can't run, you're going to start. He said, and then the body is going to reach homeostasis. He said, and what was difficult will now be your base. He said, and then you're going to run further. He said, and you're going to feel like you're going to die. He said, and that is when the training starts. He said, but you have to run all the way out there till you get to that point. He said, and then you're going to realize your legs aren't carrying you no more. He said, it's the spiritual.
Yes.
Oh.
He said, then the running becomes a spiritual experience.
There you go.
He said, and once you do that, he said, then you're going to understand what it's like when you're deep inside of a match. He said, and your arms won't work, and your shoulders are tired, and your forearms won't make your fingers go. He said, and your legs are burning. He said, if you do that training, you will then know that when your body is worn out, that you can rely on your spirit to push you through. I was like, I'll be damned.
Look at that.
Yeah. Yeah, that well, you know
the
what?
Flesh.
Hey, you know,
Conquering
hey,
the flesh.
well, hey, wait. I'm about to say great words from another Israel.
You know what I'm saying?
Listen, man, let me tell you something. What he was letting me know was you have to die so that you can live.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to live amongst the world of the Olympians, you have to die the natural death. Because the Olympians mean you live amongst the gods.
Yeah.
All right. I'm not being sacrilegious, but I'm talking about what it means.
Yeah.
You have to kill off that human part of you, that what everybody thinks is crazy. That has to be your norm.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the difference. This is the difference with some of the other sports. This is the difference. They don't have as many people like that in their pool of sport to push them to that level of
spiritual refinement,
self-actualization.
Okay.
All right. Yeah.
Deeply exploring yourself on that next level.
Man, I told my children last night. I was dropping them off to their mom's house. I went through a divorce. And before they got out of the car, I said, don't let anybody stop you from becoming who you are supposed to be. I said, but the hard part is you don't know who you're supposed to be. I said, so let me tell you who you're supposed to be. And I walked my son Rufus through his name in the Bible. And I let my daughter Rhadi know Abdarati in Arabic means the blessed one. And I let them know that what their birthright is as a Ferguson and what they can expect, and that the juice does not come out of the fruit without a squeeze. There has to be a squeezing going on to get the juice out of the fruit. And then when all the fruit is out of the juice, my man, you want to get that last little bit of juice out, so you got to take that orange, you got to rub it against the top of that glass. But when you do that, the bitterness from that rind is going to come with it. So if you want the last little bit of juice out of your life or your situation, there's going to be some bitterness that comes with it. And everybody can't handle that bitter taste because they just want sweet all the time. You can't have sweet all the time.
No,
you need the bitters.
You have to have it
to detox.
You develop a taste for it.
And I told them, don't run from the bitterness of your situation. Don't run from the struggles. The obstacles are the way. The obstacles are the way. This is the deal. What people miss in the martial arts process is, in today's society, they don't understand what martial means. The word martial, everybody in my dojo knows this. The word martial means warlike.
Yes.
That's what martial means. It doesn't mean war. We're not in here to kill each other. It's warlike, though. What is warlike, though? Warlike means I'm close.
raining fire.
I'm close to killing you. But I will not kill you.
Out of respect.
Out of respect of the rules or the environment.
Right. Rules of engagement.
What we talked about before we got on the spot.
Right.
Every dojo has rules of engagement.
Yes.
Every dojo. A boxing dojo, if you will, has rules of engagement.
Yeah.
And the reason why I call boxing a dojo, because dojo is still a way, okay, place of training. Boxing has a culture to it.
Oh man, see another one. Thank you, because I'm like, hey, look, boxing's I always say that, people are like, no, it's a sweet science. I'm like, man, listen.
No, listen, okay. You have to go to a boxing gym.
Yes.
You been to a boxing gym, bro?
Yes.
You been to a boxing gym?
Oh yeah.
Okay, so watch this. Every boxing gym, let's go through this. In every boxing gym, everybody's called one word. What are they called? Champ.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
What's up, champ?
Yeah.
What's going on, champ? How you doing, champ?
True,
You good,
true.
champ?
Yeah.
Hey, champ. What's going on, champ? Ain't nothing, champ. I'm good, champ. Champ. Everybody, champ. Why are they calling you champ? They're calling you champ because they're speaking life into you. Champ. Now, every boxing gym also has the old head in the gym.
Yes.
There's an old head that's always in the gym, sitting in the chair, telling these stories. Everybody respects the old G.
Oh, yeah.
It's always one old dude. He's in the gym, right? Everybody respects.
That's Bolo.
Right. Everybody respects him. Boxing also has pecking order. Everybody don't when you're younger. You don't just jump into the ring to grab rounds with somebody. They do what? Hey, little man, you want to get in here?
Get in.
Yep.
You want to get some work?
You gotta wait till you get called.
You got to wait till you get called. Otherwise, your ass is over on that bag.
Yep. Just hitting.
You hitting the
Just doing
bag,
your thing.
and everybody watching you hit that bag.
Uh-huh.
And they watch you work, and they watch you do pendulum bag, and then the OG would say, "Hey man, you listen to so," and it sound like some foolishness. You be like, "Man, forget that dude." And when you say something like that, "Man, forget that dude," somebody snatch your ass up and say, "Hey, when so and so is talking to you, you need to pay attention to what he's saying because he trained so and so, he trained so and so, he trained so and so, he was going to club."
He went,
but you don't know because he looked like he's an old dude. You know, he got his white shoes on with his black socks and the white hat cocked to the side, and he look like he don't know nothing because his hands don't work no more. He can't hold no pen, he can't do nothing. But he in the gym every day. He in the gym every day. It has a culture, and then you got the pad holders.
Oh yeah.
You got the pad. Now the pad holders.
That's a skill all in itself.
It's a skill all in of itself. So you got pad holders that know what they're doing. You got pad holders that don't know what they're doing. But you work your way up to the point where you start being able to work with other pad holders because when you just coming up, you're on the bag only. And you can't get time with the pad holders until they see you've been working on the what?
Yeah.
On the bag.
On the heavy bag. Make that joint move. Make it move.
You were running sprints half the time up and down those damn stairs.
Right. And then as soon as you get with the first pad guy, every pad guy that you get with, they all start you over from the beginning. They say, "Let me see your jab."
Yep. I see that jab.
Yep.
Listen, boxing has a culture. I could write a book on boxing culture, just what I just told you. No, boxing has a culture. I don't care how good you are. You could be Oscar De La Hoya. When you walk and you meet with a new pad guy, he's gonna say, "Let me see
that
jab."
Yep.
And he gonna fill you out.
You're gonna fill out the jab, understand the distance, get your timing.
Yep.
Let me see your two. Show me how you throw your hook. Do you throw it over or do you throw it hand neutral? How do you throw? Right. Let me see it. How do you close? Let me see your foot placement.
Everything.
From the beginning. Now, you go to the martial arts. Some guy from another gym comes to your gym. He don't want to start off from the beginning. He want to tell you what he know.
No, so we have a rule. Your school's the same as with mine.
Yeah.
So here's the thing: you can wear your black belt on my mat, but understand we're going to treat you as such. So if you
be careful,
be careful, because you can walk up on a real bad decision.
Be careful,
you know,
right,
and stuff like that. And it has happened. Where I had somebody who, when they had been out of practice. And I was explaining and said, "Look, you know, you when's the last time you've been?" And this is before I got hurt. And I'm like, "When's the last time you've been on the mat?" And I'm looking at the register thing. Yeah, you did. You have a legitimate black belt, so feel free, but understand the guys that are training. These guys are trying to make it. So, you got a black belt on. You trying to work with these dudes. You need to take it easy. It didn't work out too well.
It didn't work out.
What it reflects on is what you said before. A majority of the time, egos get in the way. And that's really the breaker right there. First and foremost, I really don't care what you trained in. All right. You come to my school, why are you here?
I'm here to learn. I'm here to learn from you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Empty that cup.
Yeah, that's it. Now, do what I tell you to do. All right? It's as simple as that, cut and dry. I'm not here to play any games, and you're here to learn. So I'm going to tell you, I'm going to be able to gauge you based on what I see, and I know where you belong.
Correct. That's my thing. So I asked you, do you have any martial arts experience? Yes, I did so and so. Excellent. Thank you. That's it.
One thing I will say this, though, however, one of the things that I always love with judo, and I will tell you, I'm a bit biased. I'm an Okinawa style, but I love judo. And one of the things I did notice with judo is typically, on average, the shodan's different. You can tell a person's rank as soon as you start playing grips with them. Right away. As soon as we get on the mat, we bow. You did, do kemiwaza, and but as soon as you and I start playing, instantly it's Ronduri. Oh, okay, that's where he's at.
That's where he's at. You know exactly where the person's at.
Right where you're at. And it's always been that way with judo. Other arts, it's yay or nay, stuff like that. But judo, I always felt like, and I never dealt with an ego in judo. I've dealt with the competitor's mindset in judo, like guys that are like they're going to the nationals and stuff, so they just have that I don't know. Sometimes it gets misunderstood as somebody
as
being
arrogance.
Yeah, arrogance. But no, this guy's bringing. He's at 200% already.
Enthusiastic confidence.
Yeah,
Right.
And stuff like that. But I've never had to deal with things I've dealt with in other arts, where somebody you walked in and they were like, "Oh, we're sparring today."
to just go on that's one of the main components where you competitiveness and you're at this certain level, but you missed the dough.
Yeah,
you missed the dough.
You missed it entirely.
That is my biggest issue with jiu-jitsu. I love jiu-jitsu. I love the practice of it, Brazilian jiu-jitsu. I love it. Especially my age right now, 40, getting ready to be 46, in a few months. Man, it's great for me to roll around on the mat and move nice and smooth. But the level of disrespect sometimes that you see in that sport.
Yeah, smashing.
Yeah, it's like, I remember somebody was telling me, well, you're a black, so-and-so's a black belt in judo, they shouldn't be able to be beat by a purple belt. I said, why not? I said, the achievement of a black belt doesn't mean that you're a badass. The achievement of a black belt means that you understand the canon of instruction to become a black belt. Mm-hmm. It doesn't mean you can beat everybody there. I told one guy, I said, you should be able to jiu-jitsu is an art that has a canon of information in it. Mm-hmm. You should be able to focus on any area of that canon and achieve a black belt. Case in point, Kashi Wazaki in judo. He's a really, really good newaza guy. Mm-hmm. Is his tachiwaza good? Yes, of course it is, a world champion. But he's really, really good in newaza. You can be a really, really good newaza guy and get a black belt in judo. Mm-hmm. You could be a Kosen judo practitioner and get a black belt in judo. Mm-hmm. You can go through judo and never do the sport and understand all of the kata.
Yeah.
All of the kata. And understand the atemiwaza and be a black belt in judo. You can do judo and you can learn all the tachiwaza and no newaza and become a black belt in judo. In Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu has tachiwaza in it. Mm-hmm. You could get a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu by learning the tachiwaza. You should be able to. You should be able to be in I told some guy, you should be able to be in a wheelchair and get a black belt in Jiu-Jitsu. He says, how? I said, because the same way you should be able to do it if you're blind. Mm-hmm. I said, I should be able to sit on my back and tell somebody, put your left hand on the lapel, put your right hand on the person's left wrist, pull the lapel, push the wrist in, jump your right leg over the person's left shoulder, hammer your right leg down the spine, slide your left knee to the shoulder, lock your legs with your left leg being over your right leg. Take your right hand, grab the person's right sleeve with a cat's paw grip, slide your left hand to the elbow of the right person's arm, put your hips up in the air, shift your hands over to the right side of your body, bring your knees back down towards you. Mm-hmm. Take your left hand and put it on the top of the person's head. Take your right hand, put it on the top of the person's head, and squeeze your knees. That's a danger zone triangle. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And if you're in a wheelchair, you should be able to say that, and you should be able to tell somebody else on the mat, because there's audio learning, there's auditory learning, there's visual learning,
yes,
there's audio visual learning, and then there's tactile learning. Just because somebody's in a wheelchair and they can't learn or instruct in the tactile area doesn't mean that they shouldn't be able to get a black belt. What are you talking about? So the person is in a wheelchair, you can't teach them jiu-jitsu? Of course you can, and you should. Mm-hmm. Because they can learn the history of the sport.
Right.
They can learn the history of the art. They can learn the depths of it from judo. There's a lot of things that they can learn. Jiu-jitsu is not about kicking ass. This is where the people go wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Because it has no dough. It has no dough. You cannot lose respect for somebody just because you can start beating them.